What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and I'm joined by Tyler, and we are back for our Pirates of the Caribbean Community Series, a series that airs every other Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time for your viewing convenience. This month is going to be Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End month. So last month we did a couple things with Dead Man's Chest. We talked about Davy Jones as a villain, and in terms of even the future of him too. And we also reviewed Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest. And now for this month, for this specific video, we're going to be looking at Davy Jones' locker. So we've talked about the supernatural in these movies before, and we've talked about, their path towards supernatural. We've also had discussions about just the Black Pearl and just the Kraken. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Davy Jones' locker, see if they did it right, kind of explain how they did it, and see if maybe there's any changes we would have made, or just explore what they did with it. And then next video in 2 weeks, we're going to be reviewing Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. So that's what's up in this video and what's up next video. Just to let you know, also yesterday we released the first video in our Avengers community series. So the first theory kind of video, the first topic video went up yesterday. So please check that out. If you want to cross over, some people crossed over from the Pirates community series to the Star Wars, and now we have this Avengers one going on. So we're very, very happy about that. And we're going to be doing that for the next 9 weeks while also doing Pirates of the Caribbean and doing more community series as the year goes on. Okay, so Tyler, let's just talk about the locker first and kind of just give our impressions of how do we think they did it. Obviously, we saw a good amount of it. We saw Jack trapped there, and then obviously Barbossa and crew had to get there, and they had to leave, and by flipping up is down, flipping the Black Pearl. So how do you think they handled a Davy Jones locker, which, is a very popular kind of sea myth, especially with Davy Jones being like the devil of the sea. So how do you think they handled it? Maybe even talking about how they got out of it, too, with that epic ship flip over.
I think the best part of Davy Jones' locker, like what they did with it, was the adventure of how to get to it. I thought that was really cool, seeing that whole icy area, and then the waterfall, which is Niagara Falls for us. So they all go over the edge, and it basically kills them all, and that's what lets them go into Davy Jones' locker to get Jack. So I don't know if they knew that, and it's well, how are you gonna get out? I don't know how they knew that the Pearl was going to be there, unless Barbossa himself was in the locker to know, because the Kraken destroyed the Pearl's going to be there with Jack. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's implied. I'm not sure. But the adventure, I thought, was super cool, how to get there. I thought it was cool how, the sand and all the crabs, I love how they show all that stuff. But what's funny to me about the crabs is that Calypso essentially was always inside of Davy Jones' locker. But here's what's funny about it. He was supposed to wait 10 years until he'd be able to see her again. My question is, could he have actually seen her any day, whenever? Because of those crabs, the crabs were like her, as we see later when she becomes really big and becomes Calypso. From Tiadama, they do the whole, pieces of 8 and all that stuff. Then she becomes Calypso, and then when she breaks apart, it's all the crabs that go in the water. Then she causes the maelstrom and all that stuff. So my question is, and again, she gave the job to Davy Jones, so I assume it was her originally. So my question is, and this is a really weird thing that I actually never thought about before, could she have shown herself to him at any time? I don't know. It's possible, I guess. But the way that I think that was really cool, how they use the sand as water and all that stuff. It was a little weird how Jack went crazy. And I have another question. Is that location literally, Davy Jones' locker, for everybody? Is that what it looks like if you make it to that point? Or, if you do something to him and then he puts you in the locker? If he did that to, let's say, Barbossa or Will or whoever, would it have been that sand location? I assume that is what the locker is. So if it is, that's pretty cool, because then the funny thing is there is an end point to it, and it leads you to the sea. The problem is you still have to know how to get out. So it's almost like a taunting thing. Because again, Davy Jones, really the only way he can get you, I don't want to make it sound like Dead by Daylight, but the only way that he could get you really is if you are at sea. or you die at sea, or whatever. That's the only way he can basically put you in the locker if you do whatever. Now Jack obviously crossed him and all that stuff, kind of. My other question for the locker is, was that personalized for Jack to essentially suffer because he has the pearl, which was the deal that he made with Davy Jones? But the funny thing is that you have your ship, but I'm not going to let you sail. I'm not going to let you do whatever you want. You're going to be stuck in sand. So it's like you're just sitting on your ship. Like, was it worth it? Are you having fun? So I wonder if it's like a personalized thing where it's almost like everybody has like their own individual hell. If he's back in 6 for real, and you can watch our video on how we feel about that. If he is back for real, I kind of do hope we get where like they're kind of thrown into all these different lockers to show us like, those are personal, and you have to, they're all everybody's individual hells. That would be kind of cool, like different stages, almost like Dante's Inferno, where there's 9 different layers of hell. That would be cool if like they have to keep getting through different things to get out. That would be, I just made that up just now, but it would just be a cool way to show that, it's not just sand, endless sand for everybody. It's a personal torture. But the way that they handled it and the way that they showed it, I thought that was really cool, because not only does Jack have his ship where he can't do anything with it, he also is going crazy. He's also nuts. He's lost his mind. So that's like a double torture type thing.
I agree. I think the adventure of getting to the locker was really cool. You had a lot of those really beautiful shots of the ship sailing, and when it got really dark, when it went underneath that cave, that was a really nice shot. The music was really nice too, and actually getting there, I mean, that was an epic thing when everybody was freaking out on one of the just Southang ships, and Barbossa was just completely calm, laughing it off that they were basically all about to die. So the adventure getting there was good. I remember when I was young, when I first saw it, I was 10 years old, and that was the first time I was just like, what's going on, when it showed Jack. So, they go over the edge, and then it cuts to the really cool music, the really piratey music when they said dead men tell no tales, 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 and then it goes to Jack. And the whole Jack thing, even to this day, still isn't my favorite part of At World's End. It's one of the weaker parts. I've said that before. But I remember when I was young, the first time I saw it in theaters, I was like, what is this? When he throws the rock and then he turns back around, it's right there and he licks it. I'm like, what kind of movie is this? But like in a good way. I was like, this is just so strange. But it's, it's all his mind. His mind's like it's like Tyler said, he's going crazy. And I was going to actually, the funny thing is I was going to ask Tyler about that specific thing about Davy Jones' locker. I saw it as a personal hell. I don't think it's just the island. I think it is the island along with the sea, especially because you're trapped. The only way to get out is to flip back onto the other side. So even if you do get to the waters, you're still trapped sailing endlessly in the sea. For Jack, like Tyler said, and that's how I've always looked at it, is that it was his personal hell in that he got the pearl, but he's stuck on it. He has no crew, so he can't captain it. He's his own captain, and himself are his, like he's controlling himself. It's just like 26 versions of him, and he can't actually sail. There's nothing he can do. He's stuck on, and then he tries to even pull the ship through on the island, so then that doesn't work. So I see it as his personal hell, and I do think it would be different depending on the individual person, especially because Barbossa does say, when they say like, is he even here, and Barbossa says he's here. Davy Jones never once gave back that what he took. So that means anything that Davy Jones ever has is stuck somewhere in that locker, but not necessarily on that. And I think that could also be by design so that you never run into another pirate, because that would be kind of like, you'd maybe find like brotherhood in that, and it'd probably be better for Davy Jones to have you lose your mind by being completely isolated from the world, which Jack was. Jack was so isolated and so alone that when they came to rescue him, he thought he was imagining the whole thing. He didn't even think they were real, which I thought was a really one of the first serious moments of Jack, when he didn't think they were real, and he said, 4 of you have tried to kill me in the past, 1 of you succeeded, and then he gets pretty serious in that scene. I really like that.
The only thing that's stopping me from thinking that it's a personalized hell, even though I like that idea, is that the whole crew is able to come into, like, let's pretend it is Jack's personal hell or personal whatever. The whole crew, when they do that, they're all able to come into Jack's. That's why I kind of think that it isn't, and that's just how the locker is. So like it's like a one way, and this is the locker, and this is it. And that makes sense for what they show, because otherwise, I feel like it would be almost impossible for them to be able to enter the personal one for Jack Sparrow, based on what they did.
I think that he places them, though, like the location that they're placed in the locker is on them. So Jack had always wanted to sail freely, and so he gets placed on the island because we know the waters is part of his locker, because they were still in his locker until they flipped the ship. So okay, so we talked about that. So Tyler, the second half and the only other part of Davy Jones' locker. So we get the Elizabeth with her father that they die, and we get to see all the ships sailing by, a really cool scene. And then we get one of the biggest set pieces Pirates had ever done right in the beginning of Pirates 3. Really is Up is Down, and they flip the ship. The music, we've talked about how great the music is. So let's just talk about that. What did we think about that specific scene of rocking the boat?
It's hard to like even put into words, but because it's something, again, that's like something that has never been done before. Which Pirates, as we said in another time, I don't remember which video, we've done so many. Pirates of the Caribbean does things that no movies have ever done before, that's for sure. And that's one of them where it's like, man, what are they doing? And you kind of know, like, well, they're rocking the boat, but to like see that and like to see from that view, like the ship on the water, then like it's the way that they like flip it, and then the ship's underwater, and then they're all underwater, and then like then it starts to like move, and they're like coming out of the water. Like just the way that they did it was so cool. Yeah, I mean that. I don't know who thought of that, but whoever thought of that is definitely a genius. On like, what if they just sail, and then at a certain time of day they need to flip the boat so that way when the flash happens, they end up on the other side. Like this, I don't even know how you would think of that, but they did, and that's a really great moment. That's one of the best moments I think in that. I'm going to call it trilogy because the Will and Elizabeth trilogy, or the Turner trilogy arc, or whatever you want to call it. I think that the whole Davy Jones locker thing, I think, was one of the best parts.
Yeah, and it was a thing we talked about in the Pirates 2 review, and we're going to be talking about that in the Pirates 3 review after. How did they do handling all that they left for us at the end of 2? And one of the biggest things they needed to do was get Jack back from the locker. That could have taken half the movie. That could have taken 5 minutes. A lot of movies sometimes leave things on a cliffhanger and then completely resolve them in 5 minutes. This movie kind of did in the middle. It was a pretty lengthy set of time. It had a lot of character development, and it ended on. It started by them falling off the Niagara Falls, and it ended with them literally flipping the ship around. Which personally for me, and I like to look at how movies are made and look at the production and stuff. And there was so much that went into that, and they didn't even think they would be able to do that because they didn't think that Johnny Depp or Jeffrey Rush would want to do that because they were older. Johnny Depp was 42, and Jeffrey Rush would have been 50 plus, so it's like, are they even going to want to do it? And then they both said, yeah, we'll do it. So that was every one of those cast members, Keira Knightley, Orlando Bloom, they all went underwater. Now they didn't stay underwater for the minute and a half that it showed in the film, but they all went under, and they all they actually had to hold their breath and go under to film those scenes. Orlando Bloom had to fall down and grab the rope to try and get back up the hole where they thought maybe he would fall off entirely. So they had to do all of that. And so even from a cinematic point of view, filming it, it's really a marvel. It was definitely one of the biggest things they ever could do at that time. That took a lot of planning and a lot of work, and it definitely paid off because that's a special scene in that film. So let us know in the comments below. What do you guys think of Davy Jones' Locker? Did they do it right? Would you change anything about it? Let us know. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Thank you guys for watching another one of our Pirates of the Caribbean videos. Again, we're going to be back in 2 weeks with our review of Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, so we will see you guys there.